Hi everyone, this is Rohit Analyst from Mastery, and so I'm excited to have Ben Gutkovich, who's the co-founder of Superlinked, which helps AI engineers build information retrieval systems using vector embeddings. And he's got over 20 years of experience with companies like McKinsey, strategy, and operation roles like head of business development at Easy Car Club. Ben holds an MBA from London Business School. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Thank you so much, Rohit. It's a pleasure to be here. Excited about our conversation.
Awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. And you've had an interesting career. But, before we start about your experience in the consulting world, but, how did you get your start in this world of technology and startups?
Absolutely. So look, I did study my bachelor's degree in computer science. So started my
Okay.
career in software engineering. But straight out of uni, I actually went to work for a defense contractor. So as you can
Okay.
imagine, innovation wasn't top of mind for them. So it was quite a rigid, strict environment, and it was more around the code being reliable rather than doing really exciting things or driving impact. And you get this feel of being a cog in a big machine. And for me, from the get go, it was important to deliver impact. And so during that role, I met my co-founder. I did my first startup, and that was more than 20 years ago now. It was an asset management platform back in the day. Actually, using some AIs and neural networks already back in those days. But as we were all meeting together for coffee in that company, and we're discussing how all rigid and kind of restrictive the environment is, and dreaming about our own business, we decided both to leave and actually start that business back in 2004. Ever
Oh,
since,
wow.
got infected by the entrepreneurial bug, as you might say, and was looking to go back to those entrepreneurial opportunities, and had a couple of other corporate roles in my career, through which I learned a lot. But it was always my dream to go and again start my own company.
Got it. Very interesting. Because you've done your computer science engineering, and you've also done your MBA, and you work with likes of McKinsey, PwC, and now you founded an AI startup. Right. So, what's the biggest difference that you see between advising on transformation and actually building that sort of technology yourself, and now scaling it up?
Yeah, I mean that's really interesting, right? I think advising is more of an intellectual exercise. You don't really
Yeah.
own the outcomes. You put some nice slides together. You can do a model that predicts what the outcomes are, but you don't actually own the implementation, the execution. And I'll tell you a little secret. Sometimes, even some of the bigger consulting companies I worked for know that the client doesn't have the capabilities or even the political capital to execute our suggestions, right? And for me, that was actually quite disheartening, because you work long hours in consulting as well. You work long hours in startups, but also in consulting it could be 15, 16 hours days easily, works and weekend, etc. And then your work doesn't actually get implemented, or it get executed, and you don't have control over that, right? And that was the thing that
Hmm.
was missing for me in consulting. Learned a lot, got great exposure to different companies, different industries, different types of problems, which was fun. But always wanted to do things with my hands. And in startups, the difference is that you cannot just come up with any dreams and ideas and put on slides and hope someone implements it. You actually need to go and build those things, which is much harder, right? You basically live the consequences of those suggestions and initiatives that you propose. So I think, yeah, for me it's better, but I can also, I know that that's also harder on a day-to-day basis, right? Because you live the consequences of your ideas, of your initiatives, and hey, you're not always right. You're actually
Yeah.
often wrong, but it's all about learning from that. And I do enjoy that more than just giving advice. And, hey, hoping that they take it and do something good with it.
Got it. So super interesting. And, especially in the last 2 years, we've seen there's a boom in the world of AI. Where there's an AI talent war heating up with, especially Meta and few of the companies giving, and I don't know, hundred of millions of dollars. I don't know how much of that is the truth, but as someone, who's recruiting in an AI startup, how do you go about competing when, you won't be able to match those sort of salaries, but you would want really high quality talent to join your team?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one of the bigger challenges in running an AI startup these days. I totally agree. But look, we can't outpay Meta, right? And so we take the approach of, like I also talked about before, of getting people to feel that they can deliver impact, right? Or give them meaning to their work, excite them about the dream and the vision of what we are building. And we believe, it's also a good recruiting tool. If people just are motivated by money, those are not the kind of people you want to have in your startup, because startups is all about ups and downs and roller coaster, right? So we want those engineers who want to deliver impact, who want to own their results and outcomes, and don't want the bureaucracy that comes with a large enterprise, even, an innovative enterprise like Meta. And at Superlink, we make sure that they deliver impact basically from day one, right? Our ML engineers work closely with the clients, help them get the results and celebrate those results within the team and also with the client. So this is the kind of people we want, and this is the kind of people we are still able to attract, even with this competition on salaries with Meta and other AI companies.
Got it. So super interesting, and you work with. You're also in the BD of Easy Car Club, right? So, especially, I've been in the world of business development and partnerships, but how do you go about? You mentioned that you went about doubling your owner recruitment rates in Easy Car Club. So what was, some of the incentive structures that you were able to give across in your partnership team, and were there any pricing innovation that allowed you to, double that recruitment rates when you were working for Easy Car Club?
Absolutely. So it actually came through talking to our car owners, right, who were rating the cars on the platform and understanding their mindset, right? And what we understood is that for someone who already paid for the car or is already paying a certain amount, whether to rent out that car to other people is another decision they need to make. So we decided to reverse it, right? So that not renting out the car would be the decision they need to make. And we did a partnership with one of the largest leasing companies in the UK to offer part of their inventory to Easy Car Club car owners at a reduced price, with the condition that they rent their car out a certain number of days per month, right? And in that case, they got a really good deal. They got a car for, let's say, half of the price or 75% of the price that the car is leased out in the market, but now they're committed to rent it out. And actually, if they don't rent out the car, they will be paid more. So by changing the mindset of the car owner and actually allowing them to take maybe a bigger car or maybe a second car that they couldn't actually afford for a lower price, we managed to recruit many more car owners. And this was one of the first types of this kind of proposition in the world, and the first one in the UK. And so that really helped us grow our car owner base, which in the end resulted in acquisition by Turo. Right, so Turo, one of the bigger companies in the US, operating in the same model, they came into the UK in 2017 and they failed to actually recruit car owners because, well, they didn't have the base to learn from, and it was very hard for them to go and build this car owner base, and in the end they acquired Easy Car Club in 2018 to actually start their business in the UK in the peer-to-peer space.
Got it. So super interesting. And I've worked in the UK as well as in India, and I've seen like remote work has become like a default, especially after COVID. Since 2020. So what's your take on do you think remote work would hold AI startups back, or do you think like the 9 to 6 sort of a culture should work in Europe? What are your thoughts on that?
So, we started during the pandemic. So we started in 2021 during the pandemic. Best talent everywhere, work remotely, and pretty quickly discovered that it doesn't work fully, right? So if the tasks are well defined and people know what they're doing, yes, working remotely, working in your comfortable, convenient environment without the noise is really good. But when you're building something revolutionary and innovative, which requires a lot of this back and forth and collaboration and thinking together and whiteboarding, right? It's very hard to do over Zoom. And so after the pandemic was over, we went towards a hub strategy where we collocate people in hubs, and there they go to the office at least once a week, and in some locations twice a week, to actually collaborate. So for example, in the UK, we meet in the office on Tuesday, and that day is mostly collaboration within the team. It's learning, it's brainstorming, it's whiteboarding, and then everyone goes back to their home offices, and during the week they actually are more productive and deliver results. So yes, I think, I think only remote work can hold AI startups back, especially if the challenge is not very clear, well structured, and clear where the company is going.
Got it. Makes sense. And you've been part of a lot of strategy companies and M&A deals. So when you're looking at potential for M&A deals, what's a one financial operational metric that lets you to decide whether this deal will create that sort of value or not?
Mm-hmm. I think the gold standard of M&A is operational cash flow, right? I mean, you want to look at whether there is actually an increase in the operational cash flow as a result of the synergies, because it's very easy to say, oh yeah, we go to the same customers and we expand or kind of sell new opportunities for the same customers, but it doesn't necessarily happen, right? So making sure that there is actually an increase in operational cash flow, either from revenue strategies or from cost strategies. You can actually reduce the number of people in the company, or cut costs as a result of the M&A deal. That's what you want to look for. So yeah, you a lot of people look at revenue synergies or cost cutting, but I think it's really looking at the cash. In the end, cash is king. You want to see increase there as a result of the M&A.
Got it. And especially in the AI space, a lot of people are thinking is there an AI bubble? But with the kind of investments which are happening, looks like I don't know, looks like 2020, 21, where there's a lot of investment going on. But what are some of the biggest predictions for the AI market in the next year and a half that you think most founders are either ignoring or they're not getting it right at all?
I mean, it's hard to say if most founders are ignoring. There's so much noise in the space. I mean, the space is moving so fast. There's so many voices, and people are saying lots of contradictory things. One thing I think is probably a bit premature is agents, right? I mean, there is a huge boom this year around agents and building agents, and of course, OpenAI has just launched their agent building studio, which I think they're all great developments, and the future is probably agentic, but I think not as fast, right? So I think we'll still reach a plateau of this whole agentic system deployment, and until the framework around trust and control of those agents develop properly and are tested properly. And I think, we work mostly with enterprise clients. The promise sounds really great, but their mindset is more about reducing risk. And letting those agents go free in the enterprise, doing whatever they want, is not something that's going to happen anytime soon. Well, as in the next 18 months. So I think in that regard, while there is a lot of money pouring into companies that are building agents, we will still hit a plateau before we get to real productivity trajectory and adoption by big enterprise clients of the agentic frameworks.
Got it. And just to double on that, do you think a lot of this, especially with AI agents coming on board, and you have people like Jason Lincoln talking about 2025 and 26 to be the year of AI agents, especially with a lot of SDR roles going away and all that. Where do you find companies like Klarna and Salesforce saying that we'll have lesser number of sales reps or customer success reps in the next coming years? Or do you think there'll be more number of revenue roles coming up in next couple of years? If you look at Klarna, they had removed a lot of the customer success reps, and they felt that now I think they have gone back and
I think they took them back. Yeah, I think it was a nice publicity stint, or stunt, but in the end they brought them back. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean, right? So I think, look, in the longer term, that probably makes total sense, but I think there is still quite a lot of guardrails to develop around those agentic systems to get the trust of the enterprise, right? I mean, especially the bigger clients, and that everyone kind of aligns to the bigger enterprise in the end, right?
Yeah.
Those bigger clients will take time to really adopt it, and I think there still needs to be a lot of building, a lot of testing. Especially in Europe, they'll want to see that, there aren't too many firms. I mean, there's this story about the agentic system for Air Canada, I think, that promised super cheap, like 100 super cheap tickets, and they had to actually go and deliver it. And then, of course, they removed that system from production, right? So I think there will be still, it will still take time for those agentic systems to really take hold. So I don't think next 18 months, but hey, let's see.
Right.
But it's good to say it, right? It creates headlines, and everyone, of course, is worried about AI taking our jobs, and so talking about this is good PR, right? It definitely attracts attention. What happens in reality? Yeah, like Klarna. Oh yeah, no more customer success people, all AI, and then suddenly quietly bringing them back, right?
Right, and obviously with lovables and curses, and a lot of companies like Replit are also coming on board. But you started computer science, but would you advise somebody who's 18 years old to do computer science now, or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, absolutely. Look, my co-founder, who's an ex-Googler, he's now using those tools like Lovable to build demos really, really fast. But actually, for production systems, they're still not good enough. And even for the demos, you need to guide them quite a bit. And so if you understand computer science really well, if you understand software engineer, this is the tool that makes you 10x more productive, or maybe 3x more productive at this stage, right? But it doesn't completely replace the person. I haven't yet seen production grade applications really build on Lovable and not useful by enterprise clients. It's great for demos, great for prototyping for sure. Still not there in terms of production grade applications.
Got it. And in the last couple of years, I've seen with SaaS companies, they always had a seat-based pricing, but now you seeing like a hybrid-based pricing where there's, especially with usage-based pricing, adoption has doubled in the last couple of years. So where do you think that that adoption is coming on board, and do you think that sort of adoption is going to increase from now?
I would say so. I think there are two aspects to it. First of all, with those AI workloads, you can actually align pricing to value, right? You run those workloads, you use GPUs, you use inference, it actually should be delivering value. So usage-based pricing makes sense in that regard. And the other thing is that, it's more about having data and about replacing guesswork with what actually, what you can actually see, right? So I think that makes it easier to use usage-based pricing, right? Because before you maybe it's just very difficult to see how the software is used, how much is it used, right? So having good telemetry, good solutions for actually tracking usage, plus the AI, the nature of AI workloads, I think that makes sense. It's probably something that will grow in the future. So usage-based pricing over seats. And I mean, it's funny, when I was back at Orange, we implemented this platform for running campaigns. And of course it has a seat-based pricing. But then, and we had like 3 marketing people who had seats on the system, and they just didn't use it, right? And so we were paying, but not getting the usage and not getting the value. And of course, it didn't it took some time because it's still an enterprise, but it didn't take that long to actually just drop the system and stop using it because, we don't see value out of it. And I think if there was, it kind of aligns incentives better, right? So if there was a usage-based pricing and the company that provided the system could come and help us use it more and not just say, hey, great, we sold 3 seats and this company is paying us $1,000 a month and that's done, but rather actually help the company use it and align incentives, then I think everyone would be in a better place. We would have a better campaign management system that's actually used and they would retain the customer. So totally makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And with user-based pricing, I've also seen they spend more on R&D, but than on sales and marketing. But do you think that would also translate into better unit economics? Especially with outcome-based pricing also coming into picture.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends on what your products sell on, right? Whether the product sells on capability and actually delivering value, or brand, right? If you just sell on brand and you're not really focused on delivering value, I mean that's probably a short-term strategy anyway. But if you sell on building those new capabilities that are actually useful for the customer, again, as you say, usage-based pricing shows in real time, right? Almost in real time that those features are actually useful because people are using them and then paying for them, right? If your R&D can deliver that, and of course that improves the unit economics. If you build a bunch of stuff that nobody actually uses, and just expensive tinkering, right? I mean, not really improving your unit economics in the end.
Correct.
So you got to separate between short term, medium term, long term, right? In short term, maybe, but in the longer term, it won't work.
Right. And you've raised a large seed round and you're present across UK, US, and other countries as well. But how did you position your market opportunity to Index Ventures, which is one of the best VC firms, and any learnings for founders who are looking to raise that sort of money around this market?
Absolutely. So I think we had a combination of a big vision, right? This whole vector compute layer, which I can talk about, but also some proof, right? So we started from actually building a full stack recommender system, and we had clients in production, so we proved that we can execute and that our thesis of vector compute works. But we did it for ourselves, not for the clients, but the clients used what was built on top of our infrastructure. And then coming to the big vision, it was like, okay, look, we built this vector compute layer that is now used by clients who are paying 6-figure contracts, right, to us, and it works, right? It works in production, it works at scale. Enterprises who want to use AI applications, build AI applications, could also use the same type of infrastructure and actually make their AI development more predictable, higher quality, and 60-70% faster, right? So going to production from 6 months, which is your typical AI project, getting to production, to just 3-4 weeks, right? And so that big vision with the proof of us having production clients paying significant amounts for the value we deliver, so the ability to execute was the thing that I believe convinced Index Ventures. Plus, obviously, great founders. That never hurts.
Correct. And especially that, looking at the shift from LLMs to custom models and now open source alternatives, how do you see that economics of AI infrastructure heading, and where do you see that Superlink is going to position itself there?
Yeah. So I think what we see now with clients that we work with, it's and it's very typical, right? It's the same as happened with the data stack, right? It's all about modularity. So everyone is blending different models. So some custom, some open models, some proprietary models, some trained models, in-house trained models, right? So they want this flexibility because different models perform better in different use cases. Of course, you want to optimize costs as well. Some models are more costly, some less costly, right? One of the things that Superlink, for example, allows is to use some open source, obviously much cheaper, smaller models that you can host in-house. But by combining it with other types of data, you make those models perform as well, or sometimes even better than the proprietary expensive models. Right? So it's all about really blending, combining modularity of different components and different models. And we believe that, our goal is to enable it in the enterprise. So it's really kind of stitching all of those models together. It's what the vector compute and our infrastructure is about.
Got it. So super interesting. And Ben, I quickly want to do the top three. What's your favorite business book?
Yeah. So I don't know if you're familiar. The Hard Thing About Hard Things is Ben Horowitz. I think a Bible of entrepreneurship. I really like it. I mean, I read it several times, but I also really like how it's organized, by chapters and by specific topics. So it's very easy. So I'm an audiobook listener, so I listen to it on audio, but I also have the ebook copy where I can go back and just jump to the chapter and just remind myself some of the techniques and strategies that he employed in his businesses, which again I think are very good, very useful. It helps me think about those problems as well. And so I think you don't need to remember what exactly in which chapter it was because it's really organized by topic. So I really like that, and of course was a very inspiring journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's Ben Horowitz is a great operator, and I think this book has been the most recommended among all the guests. Yeah.
Not the original. Sorry about that.
No, it's a great book, by the way. But we'll put that in the show notes. And if you could go back in time when you started Superlink, what is the one thing you would have focused on or done things differently?
Yeah. So I think so. We had this transition from a full stack system, which we very early went and built with the clients, right? And got on those contracts and delivered value, and we had those great results. When we raised the seed round, we went on a journey of unbundling. So it's not necessarily just when we started, it's actually the kind of midway in the transition from the full stack end-to-end Superlinked system, recommender system, to the infrastructure on which the enterprise clients can build. We took way too long to work with clients, right? We took, let's say probably 6 months longer than we should have to get to actually work with clients because we wanted to design the perfect system, right? And, probably should have known better. But I think you learn much more by building with the clients, and now we actually have several really great design partners. I mean, I can mention some names already that we have a new website coming, so it's all approved.
Nice.
But guys like Trivago and ThreadUp, some really great companies that we've been building with in the past year, and their feedback has just been invaluable, right? So I think we probably lost quite a bit of time by trying to design a system which is great for everyone, right? But without actually the rubber hitting the road. So I think as soon as you can, I mean, again, I'm not being original here, but getting to work with customers as soon as you can, even for free, even subsidizing the deployments, I think there's huge value to it. Because in the end, one of the main, money is of course king, right? Or cash is king, but time is super valuable for startups, right? If you don't move fast enough, you lose your main advantage because the big guys, they have the brand, they have the money.
Yeah.
The one thing where the startup can win is just being fast and nimble and iterating fast and getting fast to the market. That the big companies cannot do, and so get early to work with the customers.
Correct. And do you have any favorite online tool, for example, Gmail, Slack, Zoom, ChatGPT?
Well, I mean ChatGPT, but I won't be original saying that as well. I am a big fan and I'm using it a lot. But I was actually thinking that whiteboarding is probably one of my favorite tools. And again, it goes back to the discussion we had around working remotely versus working in the office. Every Tuesday there is at least a couple of hours in front of a whiteboard. So I run operations and also go to markets and sales and marketing, and so we always come in and we think, okay, this is the data we have, let's start brainstorming, putting some ideas, connecting the dots. I don't know, maybe it's my I still do also written to-do lists, by the way, but maybe just through handwriting I come up with the best ideas that I have, right?
Nice.
And so for me, just brainstorming on the whiteboard, taking a screenshot of that, and that afterwards become our plan for the next month or 2 or 3. Right, so for me this is a really useful tool, and I did during the pandemic use those online whiteboard tools, and they just didn't work as well for me.
Correct. No, absolutely, we'll put down in the show notes, and Ben, what's the best way people can reach out to you and know more about Superlinked?
I would say LinkedIn would be best. I'll send you my URL. I am trying to be responsive there and also share some of the content both about the company and about my journey, and so happy for people to follow me and connect, and happy to get some questions if they have.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes. Ben, thank you so much for taking your time speaking to us. I really enjoyed my conversation with you.
Thank you, Rohit. Same here, and I hope it was helpful for the people listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Life Self-Mastery podcast, where we teach you how to start and grow your online business. For more information, visit Rohit's blog at www.lifeselfmastery.com.